to thank God for.
Hello, this is Rose with Music for Purpose. How you doing? Greetings from Honduras. I generally keep myself out of progress reports because it's all about the children, but I just can't help but to talk about the goodness of God and proclaim His greatness. During this 3-day camp, I got very ill. The first day of camp, I felt extremely tired and thought, well, maybe it was because of all the preparations I had did the days prior. The second day in the morning, I felt super drained, and by the night, I didn't even want to eat. But I forced myself to eat because I knew that I needed my strength for the next day. I didn't want to leave the kids for flu-like symptoms, so I just dealt with my symptoms. By day 3, 2 o'clock in the morning, I had horrible abdominal pains and severe diarrhea. We had our event at the beach at 4 in the morning, but by that time I knew something was really wrong, and I thought to myself, if I can just get rest, by the time the kids get back, I will be fine. By the time the kids returned, I could barely even stand. I was taken to the hospital on a motorcycle, and on the way to the hospital, it was like 15 minutes long, and all I could do was just ask the Lord to give me strength to hold on because I really felt like I was going to fly off the motorcycle. After the tests came back, doctors and nurses came immediately to treat me. They said that I had poison in my blood and it had spread all over my body, and that at this point it was between life and death. They put medication intravenously and said that this medication was supposed to go in slow, but because the depth of the situation, they had to put it all in one. I literally felt like a choo-choo train had ran over my arm, and it was just so painful. They also put a nebulizer over my nose because I couldn't even breathe. After the ordeal, I was released from the hospital with a whole bunch of medications. The bus was called to urgently come and pick us up. The beauty of this all was how the kids responded and the things they did to make me comfortable while we waited for the bus. It's through their actions that they show me they love me. Upon return, 2 ladies stayed with me to take care of me, and one of them was a pharmacist. I was awakened every 4 hours for medication. I vaguely remember, but it was like day 3 or 4 where I remember being able to get up and thinking, wow, I feel great. This is all over. I began to get ready to shower, and within 10 minutes, my body had collapsed, and I stayed on the bed for, well, I honestly couldn't tell you how many hours, but one of the sisters came in, I don't know how many hours after, and asked how I was doing, and I remember trying to lift my arm, but I couldn't. My left arm was literally green and blue and in lots of pain. I got emotional and I couldn't understand why my body was reacting this way. I booked a flight home so I can go to the ER. It was about 1 week after the whole ordeal that I flew back home. While I did a 4-hour overlay in Houston, I remember thinking, will I even make it? I was just so weak and my energy would forsake me. Then I received horrible news that my plane had canceled and that I had to be rebooked for the next day. Shortly after rebooking, I was taken to a hotel along with the other people who were on the same plane. As I sat in the van waiting for other people whose flight had canceled to get into the van, the driver came in briefly and said he was waiting for 2 more people and had apologized for the wait. Someone in the back mentioned something, but I honestly don't remember what they said, but I remember responding, yes, this is the last thing anyone coming from Central America needed. So the driver who was standing outside of the van had heard, and he poked his head inside and said, missions trip? And I had responded, yeah, something like that. The other 2 people arrived and he helped them upload their suitcases. And as we were driving, he tapped me and said, the Lord wants you to know that He is pleased with how you have had faith in Him and had learned to trust completely in Him. And because of that, He was going to give me the desires of my heart. He then asked if he could pray for me. I said that it was fine, but after the passengers were released to the hotels, I literally had nothing with me. All I had was my traveling documents, and I asked him if he could take me to a nearby Walmart where I can buy my pajamas and things for the night. He asked his manager for permission and he took me. It was at the Walmart parking lot where he prayed over me, and it was such a beautiful prayer. He said, I thank you, Father, because she has the gift of prophecy and administration. And I was so amused by those words. I really didn't know what they meant, but I wanted to make sure that I memorized it so that I can ask for clarity afterwards. He then proceeded to ask the Lord to refine me like that of the diamond and compared me to the diamond in gold. At the end of the prayer, I was able to go and get my items at Walmart. While in Walmart, I told him about perfume worship, and I told him that I would send him a link so he could listen to the recording. And I did tell him, but you won't see me there because I like to find the talent and put them on stage and use it for God's glory. He said, oh, well, that's what God showed me about you. And he said, God showed me that you have the gift of prophecy in administration. You extract their giftings and you administrate it for his purpose. And so that just clarifies what the Lord showed me about you. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess it is what I did. And I didn't know there was such a title, but I was pretty amused by the fact that the Lord showed him that about me, and I didn't even realize that about me. I returned to my room and rested for the evening and was able to leave the following evening. I really believe that God allowed this flight to be delayed so that he can use a complete stranger who I had never met before or who doesn't even know me to prophesy and speak to me. Because I'm human, I probably would have thought, oh, well, these people, they know the line of work that I'm in, and so it's easy for them to prophesy. This guy was a black guy, and he even said, who would have known that God would have used this black dude with a gap in his tooth? I couldn't help but to laugh. It was kind of funny. I spent 6 weeks in the States visiting many doctors, and 2 specialists were actually appointed to me. This journey is not over, but I must admit that it has been a beautiful one because God has not left me nor forsaken me. Because I took antibiotics for over 2 months and the strong intravenous medication that was injected, unfortunately my hair began to drastically fall out. It was down to my waist when I first arrived home, but by the time I left back to Honduras, I had no choice but to cut it. Seeing the 3 patches of hair loss broke my heart, and it's quite embarrassing to share, but I really do believe that it's important to share with my family, friends, and loved ones so that I can be a living testimony. I've been back in Honduras for 2 weeks now, and the children are so happy to see me, and I'm happy to see them as well. A couple of them even came running to me with open arms when they saw me walk through the gate. It was so beautiful. It was such a great moment. Well, God is good and greatly to be praised, and for this, I give him praise.
Lord.